The movie begins when a man, seemingly random, steps out onto his patio. He looks up and watches as a helicopter is filled with water from his pool, preparing to head out on a perilous firefighting mission. But this wasn't just any helicopter. It was part of a firefighting team tasked with controlling a wildfire that threatened everything in its path. And this man? He was no stranger to the intense, often dangerous work of a firefighter. The firefighters who work in such conditions are not only brave but essential. They protect our forests, homes, and lives. Their mission is to put out wildfires, and their tools include not only hoses and water, but sometimes even helicopters, which drop water over the flames from above. Among these men is Eric Marsh. Eric is no ordinary firefighter. He's the superintendent of Crew 7, a special team of firefighters tasked with putting out some of the most dangerous fires. His experience is vast, having worked in several professional hotshot crews across the country. And on this day, Eric is overseeing the controlled burn near Cave Creek Complex in Arizona, trying to create a barrier to stop the wildfire from spreading further. But Eric's experience tells him that the fire is going to change direction soon, toward the nearby neighborhood. With his keen intuition, he warns the department, but unfortunately, his advice is dismissed. He's told to follow the orders of the California hotshot crew that's also on the scene. Eric tries to explain the situation, but they don't listen. They instruct him to stay back, and Eric reluctantly agrees. Soon enough, just as Eric predicted, the wildfire jumps over the neighborhood, and people are forced to evacuate. Homes are lost, and despite Eric's best efforts, he can't help but feel defeated. He knows he could have done more, but there's only so much he can do when the rules hold him back. At home, Eric's wife, Amanda, runs a horse farm. She breeds and cares for horses, some of which have suffered abuse or neglect in the past. Amanda is strong, resilient, and hardworking, but it's clear that she's also been carrying a lot of weight on her shoulders. She and Eric have been together for years, but their relationship is beginning to show signs of strain. Amanda feels Eric's absence. He's so consumed by his job that he barely has time for her or their life together. One evening, after another tough day at work, Eric shares his frustrations with Amanda. He tells her that the only way to ensure their crew's future is to get a hotshot firefighter certificate. Without it, they'll never be seen as equals to other firefighting teams. The pay is better, the opportunities are greater, and Eric's crew needs it to survive. But getting that certificate isn't easy, and Eric doesn't know how to make it happen. Amanda encourages him to talk to the fire chief, hoping that his request might finally be heard. Meanwhile, we meet Brandon. He's an ordinary guy, but life hasn't been kind to him. Struggling with addiction, Brandon has hit rock bottom. He's without a job, his relationship with his mother is strained, and his life seems to be falling apart. When he finds out that his ex-girlfriend is pregnant, his world is turned upside down. Despite his own turmoil, Brandon decides to try and step up, but it's clear he's been lost for a long time. His ex, Natalie, tells him that she's already 5 months pregnant and that she'll handle everything on her own. She asks him to stay away. Brandon is heartbroken, but he doesn't give up. Life has knocked him down, but this might be his chance to get back on his feet. Soon after, Brandon is arrested for attempting to steal a DVR from a random car, but his mother bails him out, and he returns home, only to be met with a cold reception. His mother is fed up with him, tired of the chaos he brings into her life. She hands him an envelope with money and asks him to leave. The harsh reality is clear. Brandon needs to change, and quickly, or he's going to lose everything. At the same time, Eric is working hard to make his case for Crew 7. He speaks with Wayne, the fire chief, about how important it is for his crew to get the hotshot certification. Eric's crew is full of specialists, but without the proper credentials, they will always be second-rate. Eric convinces Wayne to take action, and they arrange a meeting with Prescott's mayor. The mayor understands the risks and agrees to help. It's a breakthrough moment for Eric and his team. Months go by, and Brandon, though still struggling, begins to turn his life around. He gets the call that his daughter is born, and for the first time in a long time, he feels a sense of purpose. He's no longer addicted to drugs. He's determined to build a better future for his daughter, and he decides to apply for a firefighter's job. It's a long shot, but it's the only chance he has left. When Brandon joins Crew 7, it's not easy. He's an ex-addict, and the other men on the crew aren't exactly thrilled to have him there, but Eric sees something in him. He's willing to give Brandon a chance, but he makes it clear that the work is going to be tough. To prove himself, Brandon must pass a grueling physical test. The crew takes Brandon on a run to see if he has what it takes. The run is brutal, and Brandon struggles to keep up. But despite being left far behind, he doesn't give up. As the rest of the crew reaches the top of the hill, they take a break, only to spot Brandon slowly making his way up. Half dead and exhausted, Brandon pulls out his phone to show them a picture he took when he reached the summit. The crew is stunned. Brandon's tenacity has earned him their respect. Eric decides to give him a shot. Over the coming weeks, the crew goes through intensive training, learning to work together as a unified team. They bond, not just as colleagues, but as friends who rely on each other in the most dangerous of situations. Meanwhile, Brandon hasn't forgotten about Natalie and their daughter. He continues to show up, leaving baby supplies at her doorstep, hoping she'll see that he's changed. One day, Natalie finally opens the door. She thanks him for the gifts, and they share a conversation about Brandon's new job. Eventually, she lets him hold their daughter, and Brandon is overwhelmed with emotion, unable to hold back his tears. Then, one day, Eric receives a call from Dwayne, bringing him good news. Crew 7 has been pre-approved to become Hotshots. But before they can fully celebrate, a new wildfire breaks out in the Chiricahua Mountains. Crew 7 is called to action. The fire is massive, and the crew works tirelessly to create a barrier that will stop it from spreading. As they prepare for the next phase of their mission, they meet Hayes, an observer who will evaluate their performance. Hayes is old school, with decades of experience, but his attitude doesn't sit well with Eric. He dismisses Hayes' advice, which causes some tension between the two. But Eric quickly realizes that conflicts are not helpful, especially when their future as a hotshot team is at stake. The crew pushes forward, working harder than ever to stop the fire. By evening, Eric's plan has worked. They've contained the fire. Later, Eric is nervously awaiting the final decision. When Dwayne finally arrives with the news, Eric can't contain his relief. Crew 7 is officially recognized as a hotshot team. They've made it, but there's no time to rest. The next wildfire threatens an ancient oak tree near Prescott, and Crew 7 is sent to protect it. They work tirelessly, clearing the area around the tree to prevent sparks from setting it ablaze. After hours of work, they've done it. The tree is safe. The men celebrate their success. But the celebration is cut short when Brandon tells Eric he's considering leaving the firefighting team to spend more time with his daughter. Eric is adamant that Brandon should stay. He knows how dangerous it is to leave, as this job saved him from his own addiction years ago. But Brandon is firm. He wants to be there for his daughter, and his decision is final. At home, Eric's relationship with Amanda is strained. She's tired of sharing him with his work. She wants a family, but Eric's obsession with firefighting has left her feeling alone. Eventually, Eric realizes that Amanda is right. He can't keep putting his job above his family. The tension finally breaks when Eric makes a decision. He's going to leave his job and let someone else take the lead. The crew is about to face its biggest challenge yet. The fire is spreading fast, and Crew 7 is called to fight it. Eric sends Brandon to the top of the hill to monitor the weather. But when Brandon notices the wind shifting, he knows danger is approaching. He tries to escape, but the fire catches up with him. In a desperate attempt to survive, Brandon and the crew deploy their fire shelters. But it's no use. The fire is too intense. The next day, rescuers find the crew's remains. 19 firefighters dead, their bodies still covered by their shelters. Brandon is the only one to survive, and he's left to tell the story of what happened. He's devastated, unable to believe that his friends are gone. Amanda, too, hears the news and collapses in grief. The wives and families of the fallen hotshots gather, hoping against hope that their loved ones are still alive. When Brandon walks into the room, they know the truth. His face says it all. Brandon collapses outside, overcome by grief. Amanda joins him, offering comfort as they both mourn the loss of their loved ones. This is the story of the Granite Mountain Hotshots. They were a team of extraordinary men who gave everything for the job they loved. In 2013, they tragically lost their lives while fighting the Yarnell Hill fire in Arizona, but their legacy lives on. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story like this. We'll catch you in the next one.